All right, guys, we're going to be going over the selection tool here. This is the black arrow that's right here. So this is a tool that you're going to want to use a lot. So if you are, the first thing to know is that if you click on one tool, you're not going to automatically go back to the selection tool. So if the program is not behaving the way you think it should, like you're trying to move an object and it's just not doing it the way that you want it to, then it usually means that you haven't clicked back to the selection tool, okay? A shortcut key on your keyboard for the selection tool is the V tool. So you click on V and it gets you back to the selection right here. Right, this is different than the direct selection tool. That's this gray arrow is direct selection, and we're going to cover that in the next video. So the selection tool is used to move an object around. So if I have an object here, if I click on the center, I can move it around. If I kind of click anywhere in the inside, I can move it around. If I click on a pathway, you'll notice I get some different options here. So it goes from an arrowhead to like handles. They look like double arrowheads. If I click now, and this is a path, this line right here is called a path. If I click on the path, it will allow me to resize the whole thing. So it moves the entire path or the entire line down. Okay, if I move here, notice the arrows are now sort of diagonally pushing outward diagonally. This is going to resize it. It's going to resize it diagonally instead of vertically or horizontally. If you click on the path here is horizontal, path here is vertical. But if I click and drag here, it's going to resize horizontally. Now let's say that I have a figure and I want to keep these ratios. Let's say that I have like a rectangle here, and I really want to keep the ratio of the length and the width, but I want to make it bigger. One thing I can do is if I hold down the shift key and I click on the end right here on the corner piece, if I click and drag, it will maintain the ratio of the length to the width. So that means that like if this width right here was like a third of this, it would stay the same ratio. So you just essentially make it bigger. So if you had a square initially, then you would maintain the ratio of the side lengths, which is 1 to 1 if you held down this key. Okay, another thing I wanted to show you about the selection tool is that if you hover over the corners, you're going to see this little curved line with the double pointed arrows. If you wait until you see that, then when you start to click and drag, you will rotate the figure. Okay? So there's so just pay attention to what the arrow is telling you, whether they're going to resize or rotate. Okay, one more thing that I want to share with you about the selection tool is that we're going to get to fill and stroke a little bit later on, but if you have an object right here, and let's say that the fill inside that you say, I want to make it transparent. So this object is transparent here, and so right now, if I have the selection tool here, you can see that there's a thin border around it, but it's transparent. I'm going to copy and paste another object, and instead of making this object transparent inside, I'm going to make it white. I'm going to bring my selection tool up here and make this white. So these objects look pretty similar, but if I have the selection tool open, I can click on this one, but I can't click on this one. So this one I'm trying to click on it, but I can't. And that's because there's no interior of this rectangle. This one has an interior, meaning it has a solid fill inside of it. It's filled with a solid color. Whereas this one, in order to select something, I have to click and drag across it to select the entire object, because this icon right here indicates that there's no fill inside, so it's only a stroke around it, and the object is sort of empty inside. So you can't, if it's deselected, you can't select it by filling it. One more thing to note is, let's say that you have a bunch of things, like I want to move this rectangle on top of this one. If I want to select it, you want to create what's called a marquee around it. So you click on one corner that's above it and drag across it, and that will select it. So if I wanted to select a bunch of things, I could just click and drag across both of them, and that selects them. That's called creating a marquee around it. So that's a quick way to select multiple objects. One other thing that you can do is, if you want to select two objects together, you can click one object. Here I can click the path here and it will select the entire thing. So click here, then hold down your shift key and click another thing, and that will allow you to continue to select objects. So if I had, like, let's say, let me copy and paste this so you have a bunch of these things right here. Okay, so let's say I want to select a bunch of things. So I would go I'd click on one, and then I would hold down Shift, click another one, hold down, keep holding down Shift as I click through these objects, and now everything is selected. If I wanted to deselect one of them, I would hold down Shift again, and I would click on one object, and that just deselects that object that I clicked on. So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 objects clicked, but not the last one. All right, and that's it for the selection tool. Okay, so that video was made a couple of years ago, or last year really, and I want to show you this year how you are going to do this assignment at home. So there are two parts to this, these instructions. Those of you who are using Adobe Illustrator who were successfully able to download it on your computer, and those of you who couldn't download it, you're going to be using another web application or an application that runs in a browser. You're going to be using that in order to submit your work. Okay, so this is what the assignment will look like. It's just a draft right now because I'm doing it before I've actually assigned it. As you watch the video, so here's the video here. Okay, as you watch this video that we're currently talking on right now, you're going to answer the questions in this Google form. Okay, and this will be your ABRAW grade for the week. You'll have 2 of these per week, or 1 for each of the videos you watch. Okay. Now, this right here, this is the Adobe Illustrator file. So if you're using Adobe Illustrator, what I want you to do, and by the way, if you open it up in a preview window, it doesn't work. So I want you to right click on it, and I want you to open link up in new tab. Now, when you do that, you get this little download button, okay? So you are going to download it, and it will download as an Adobe Illustrator file right here. So on my Mac, I can just click on it, and it will choose the correct application to open it in. Now, those of you, again, who are using Adobe Illustrator, you're following with me. Those of you who are not, you're going to skip to the next section, and I'll tell you what that is in the video once I have a timestamp for it. So if you're using Adobe Illustrator, this is what you're doing for this assignment. You're doing level 1, 2, or 3. So this is, I think, 100, 95, or 90. Okay. Now they're just based on, and you don't have to do all of them. You're just going to choose one of them. They're just different levels of difficulty. 1 is a direct copy and paste and rotation. 2, you have to add some things and change the colors. 3, you have to change the size of the triangles. So basically, for level 1, you don't need these other things. So you can just pull them off your artboard like that. Okay. What you do need is you just need these shapes that are repeated again and again. So this one's going to have to be rotated. Remember, you hover over here. If you hit Shift, it will rotate so that it's hopefully, I think it'll snap to a rotation, and you know, there it is. So it'll snap so that this line right here is parallel to this line. Actually, it needs to rotate a slightly bit more. Okay, so now that you have this unit, what you can do, a shortcut, is to select all of this, Command-C, Command-V if you have a Mac, and then you have a whole unit here that you can copy and paste. So when you select them all together, it means that you have 4 things selected. So to do that, you click and drag across, all 4 of them are selected. Then when you copy and paste, all 4 of them are going to paste. And if you deselect them, then click on one of them individually, they separate. So again, you can create a marquee around these things and select everything all together, and then you can move them around where you want, or you can move them one by one. So you're just going to recreate for level 1, you're just recreating this. For level 2, you need to work with the stars and copy and paste them and then shrink them. And remember, use Shift to shrink them down so that they keep their same parameter. And then you're going to try to get all the colors that are here. Now, you can just approximate them, and we'll talk about colors a little bit later, how you can use the eyedropper tool to get exactly what you need. So for level 2, you're recreating that. For level 3, you have to actually shrink a rectangle down without maintaining the ratio. So this, sorry, not a rectangle, a triangle. You're going to shrink this triangle down by pulling it out so it doesn't snap into the same proportion, and you're going to pull this down to make a triangle that looks like this, okay? And you're going to use rotation. Remember, you're going to hover over it and use rotation to do that, to change this, right? You don't have to do every level to get level 3. You just do level 3, that's 100. And if you want a slightly less challenge, then level 2, and then level 1 is the easiest one, okay? And that's 90, 95, and 100. Okay, when you go to pass this in, this is really important. You go File, and you say Export as, like that, or and you want to save it as a PDF, okay? So, and you know what? It's not right there. Let me do this again. It is File and Save As. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the other one. Save As, and you are going to save it as a PDF, okay? And it will change the extension here to PDF, all right? And that is in my downloads because it was by default already in my downloads. So this is all okay, that's fine, save as a PDF. Now, when you turn it in, you're going to go to Google Classroom and attach the file to your turn-in. So on the, let's go back here, I have a teacher view, so it's hard for me to see, but when you go into view, you'll say view assignment, not edit. You want to turn in and attach a file, then find the file on your computer to turn it in, okay? And that is if you are using Adobe Illustrator. You're always going to attach it as a PDF so that I can see it, okay? In the next section, so if you're using Adobe Illustrator, go on and head out and do your work. The next section is for those of you who are using the web page that's not Adobe Illustrator. Okay, if you are using a web page that is not Adobe Illustrator, so if you can't download Adobe Illustrator, that's perfectly fine. I found a website that works pretty well. So that link is right here. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like. If I click on that right now, it's going to go right to my account. So I'm going to right click on it. I am going to open it in an incognito window. You don't need to do that. You can open it in a new tab. But for me, I want to show you what this looks like, what it will look like for you. And I can do that by using an incognito window. Okay, so here is the file that I shared with you. Okay, it has 2 pages here. This is the shape page, and this is what you need to make them look like. Okay, and you are going to create a free account. Okay, so the first time you arrive here, you're going to create the account. The next time you arrive here, you're going to log into your account. So you are going to, and you don't need to do any of this. You are never going to go to the pro version. You're always just going to use the free version. You're going to use Google, and you're going to use one of your Google accounts. Okay, so let's assume that you've done that. You're going to enter your email, use the gateway email address, and you're going to sign in with Google. I'm not going to do that because I already have an account. Okay, let's assume that you've done that. Now, in order to make this, and this will not show up for you anymore. In order for you to create this, what you're going to do is here are the shapes and here are what you need to look like. Now, you're going to toggle this over so that you can see 2 pages all at once, right? Now, this right here, level 1 would be a 90%, level 2 is a 95, level 3 is 100. You do not have to do all of them. They're just a little bit more challenging as they go on. Level 1 is direct copies of the shapes I gave you. Level 2 is resizing of those copies and changing the color. Level 3 is resizing without maintaining a ratio. So they're just a little trickier. They're not super hard though, so you can go ahead and just do level 3 if you'd like. So here, and we'll get into what the layers are a little bit later on, but this just tells you that these indicate like the shapes here. So for level 1, you just need to pull these over, and you can resize them. Remember, you hold down Shift if you want to maintain the ratio, so if you want to keep them looking the same but just smaller. You want to bring them like that, and then hold it down, and it's just like the video in Adobe Illustrator. This website looks a lot like Adobe Illustrator, and that's why I chose it. I searched a long time for it. You want to shift it so that it can fit right there. Okay, now it needs to go down a little bit more, but you get the picture. Now, when you have 2 of them, you can click and drag across and choose both of them. Notice that the left-hand side indicates that you have selected both of these paths. Now, you can hit Command C, Command V if you're on a Mac, and it creates 2 more. It just copied and pasted it on top. So click and drag across, and you have your 2 more shapes. So right here, you actually have the first 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes here. Right? And you just need 1, 2, 3 more. So you just need 1. I'm going to hold down Shift so I can select multiple. I need those 3 more. Copy, paste, click, and drag across. Okay, and I have my first row. All right. Now you can keep doing that until you get this figure. It's pretty easy. If you're going for level 2, you're going to start with the star. Copy, paste. Remember, it ends up on top, so move it away. Hold down Shift, resize so your star is right here. and then work on changing the color here. Okay, so the color is over here. You are going to, so the color is indicated here. Click here and just try to get it, it would be the opposite. The yellow is on bottom and the purple is on top. So just change those around, but that's how you change the color. You select it and then you change the color right here. Okay. In level 3, you actually have to take one of these triangles and resize it without holding the shift down so that you can make it look like one of those orange triangles. Okay. By the way, this one's really easy to do, to use the eyedropper here. It's a little harder in Adobe Illustrator. So once you have it selected, click the eyedropper, and this right here is going to pick up that orange color and it's going to put it on the triangle that was selected. So that actually is going to get you the perfect color to change that with. Now, when you are done, you just need to have one of these 3 things, okay? And you can delete everything else. Okay, now you are going to file and you are going to save it. Oh, and actually, when you set save, it saves in your cloud account. So it saves in your account on the website. What I want to do instead is export. So I'm going to export it as a PDF file, okay? And you can make it, this is dots per inch, so you can, so it's like the resolution. So just change it to 150 dpi. And it looks like it's going to actually have me log in order to do that. So once you're logged in, it will save it. Now, it will download as a file on your computer. When you go to turn it in, so let's look back here. When you go to turn it in, this is the teacher view, right? You don't have this view. I have this view. You have, when you look at your assignment, you're going to have a little button that says View Assignment. So you're going to click on that, or View Details, I think it says. You're going to click on that, and then there is in the top right-hand corner on this side, when you look at the assignment, it is going to say Attach, and you want to attach the file to that. So what you're doing is when you're turning this in, you are going to attach your PDF to that so that I can see it. Okay? Maybe later on I will actually have you share your link. So here, if I were logged in, it would have a share link right there. But for right now, let's just work on attaching your PDF to your file. Okay, and that is what that is how you do this assignment. Let me know in the comments or email me if you have any questions.